So today, excited, welcome everybody, excited to talk about our relationships with ourselves as a solo doula and as we're working with agency and partners. And so good topic. It's one that I know we've touched upon lightly in our other Friday chats. And so I wanted to just frame it a little bit more and let's talk about it. Let's see what we need to address, questions that we need to answer, ideas that we need to share, so forth. So I think I got everybody in. Oh, more people waiting. Okay. Oh my goodness, I wish there was one way I can just say, everybody come on in. I have to reset it. All right, so everybody can see what I'm seeing. It should say relationships, agencies, and partners. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so agenda of the day, I want to start off with welcome. I think we have quite a few new people, excited for you to be here. This is a chat that we've been having now a couple weeks, probably 5-6 weeks or so, like that. We've had all sorts of topics. We've talked about marketing. We have spoken about updating our contracts to make sure it reflects virtual services that we're offering now. We've talked about partnerships a little bit, like with midwives and others. We've talked about training opportunities, so many different topics. And so as we go through our chat today, if there's any other topics that you would like to add to our agenda, because this is our community, it's kind of, you know, come all, let's share. If there's any particular area that we need to address, then we can certainly make sure we address it in one of our future Fridays. And so let's use the chat feature. Let me know if there's something that we need to add to our agenda. And since we have quite a few of us on the call, sometimes we just do like a quick roll call, where are you from? But since it's quite a few of us and it's already 10 minutes after, let's just go use our chat function, please. If you could just say, your name will be there when you do your chat, but where are you from and the type of doula that you are. Are you an aspiring doula? You're a new doula going through your training, your certification? Are you a seasoned doula? Are you full spectrum, birth only, postpartum only? Just let us know a little bit of type of doula and your type of practice, because I think that helps when we have our discussions, and even throughout the chat, it helps to know how to connect and who we can connect with. I'm meeting a couple more people in here while we're doing that. All right, so we have folks joining us from all over. Phenomenal. We have Knoxville, we have Seattle. Oh, awesome. Happy to learn. Delaware, Massachusetts, Colorado. Oh, a musical doula. Oh, that's cool. I love the diversity. Colorado, Delaware, we got Atlanta, we have West Palm Beach, Florida, we have Ohio. So take notes if you're a new doula in a certain area, take notes of who's in your area. Long Island, so we have New York. A couple people right outside of New York City. We have Houston. Awesome. So great. Welcome all. I'm so appreciative of you all being here and sharing this space with me today. I'm going to try to monitor the chat. So from time to time, I'll go back to the chat to see if there's anything that we need to catch, any questions as we go through. So feel free to use that chat function and put out ideas, questions, and we will definitely get to them. So a couple new people, so let me just take a quick second to just give my background to explain why I'm here, what I'm doing when I host this chat in this space. I'm Bianca Marie. And my background is public health, everything to do with women's health. And I come from a public health stance of that health is complete states of wellness, your physical, your social, your emotional, your financial. And as we know, as doulas working with moms and working with families, if any of those areas are off, that can certainly impact that mother's well-being throughout the pregnancy and after. And so I've worked for a number of years with the federal government. I worked with higher learning institutions. I've done all sorts of things, all within the realm of public health and specifically women's health. And so over the last couple of weeks, especially with this new world that we're in with this pandemic, talking to many doulas, I kept hearing, well, I guess I just won't work with my clients right now, or I just don't know how to work in the virtual space. And there's so many questions, and we're all grappling with how to make it work. I just said, you know, if anything, moms need us now. If anything, families need us now. There's so much uncertainty, and as we know, if anyone, especially who has been a mom themselves or gone through the pregnancy themselves, you already have 1,000,001 questions and 1,000,001 thoughts. So just adding our new world into that was just making it even more of a grappling situation. And so that's the whole reason why we started this community. The whole reason why we started this gathering on Fridays is so that there's an outlet for us as doulas to learn from each other and to freely be able to share stories, experiences, and ideas. And so that way we are positioned as best as we can. With, like, literally, we're talking about New York and the changes. Literally every day things change. So that's the reason why we're here. So I'm honored that you're joining me this Friday to have this chat. And this is the topic that we're talking about today, which is, as a doula, how are we setting ourselves up on the business side? So starting with the first is solo practice. So just quickly going through a definition here so everybody's we're talking, you know, oranges to oranges, apples to apples when we talk about the different options as a doula. And as we go throughout this today, these are just a few of the options. You can mix and match certainly whatever works for you, but these are just a few that I wanted to just throw out there as seeds for our chat. So when we talk about solo practice, this is where you are it. You are the practice. You are everything. You are the one person show. You're the sole owner. You are the person that sets the vision for your practice. You set the strategy for your practice, the goals, the milestones, the metrics that you want to use for your practice is you, as well as in you are the one offering the services. So as a solo practitioner, you may just kind of say, also you may just say I'm independent, some say I'm sole proprietor, just different terms, but it's all for meaning you are it. You are the go-to person, and the practice, so your business is on your shoulders. You don't share it with anyone else. So that's what we mean when we talk about solo. And there's a lot of advantages to it, especially depending on where you are, depending on your personality, depending on what your goals are for your business. Certainly you can have complete autonomy, right? It's your vision. If it's you as the practice, you are the practice, your business, and you're the practitioner, then certainly, you know, it's your vision, your plans, and you can expand your business, change your business at your pace. You know, the profits and the price structure, all of that is your vision and what you would like. And with that, you are the sole decision maker. So if you want to change something, you want to change your package up, you can change it over the weekend if that's what you would like. You want to change your website. So with that, with being the sole proprietor, it is a weight on you that it's all on you as the sole person, but there's definitely some advantages to that. Now, I don't know if others want to share some other advantages that they see. I debated offering a slide also that talked about disadvantages. And I debated that just because something that may be a disadvantage in my eyes may be an advantage in your eyes. So I didn't put a slide to talk about disadvantages, but as we go through our discussion, if we want to talk about the flip side of some of these advantages, we certainly can. For example, what somebody may consider a disadvantage of like having to do all the scheduling, right? Or having to do all the invoices. That may be you know, a weak point or an area that somebody doesn't necessarily enjoy, a doula doesn't enjoy. But to another doula, they want to know the finances every day, in and out. That may be an advantage. So for those reasons, I only did the advantage slide, but we can certainly talk about there's always another side to the coin, right? So solo practice is an option, and then agency. Let me move this other out of the way. Agency is an option also, and this is where you are really employed, or you have an employer. So it's an organization that is established to provide the service. And when I talk about the agency, I'm referring to doula agency. So where agency, you know, hire 1 or 2 or 3 or more doulas. In order to do that, or one of the ways that they do that, is that they actually retain a portion of the payment or the funding or whatever the client's investments. They give a portion, they retain a portion, and then they pay you a portion. And so it's I wouldn't say a partnership, but it's more of the typical structure where you're employed by someone else. They set the policies, they set the types of services that they're going to offer, and you fall into wherever it is that you fit, whatever's your service. So if you're a birth doula, then you offer the birth doula under that umbrella. So that's more of an agency. A lot of advantages to that as well. Certainly it's flexible. Flexibility as in you can work with multiple agencies. Now you definitely want to do your research, because different agencies have different policies and so forth. So I know many doulas that work with multiple agencies. An agency that may do only like overnight or postpartum, then that doula gets that stream of work from that particular agency. And then there's other agencies that offer training classes or programs, and the doula can work through that agency for that very reason. So you can mix and match whatever it is you need. Now, depending on your area, there may be many agencies available for you, there may not be. So it's different for everyone, but working with an agency certainly can also help you fill out your schedule. Again, I know quite a few doulas that are able to do it full time by just working with multiple agencies, and they have the option. They call you or they email you, text you and say, hey, you're available at this time. You were able to say yes or no. So it's definitely flexible, which is different from if you are, again, that solo practitioner, where if somebody calls, it's only you. Where if you're an agency, part of an agency, then or a network, then you pick and choose. One of the other advantages, like when I work with the agency, and I still do, but only one, but I work with this particular agency because they know that I really work well with special clients. Special clients, for example, they have a medical condition that's lingering or lasting after they get home. And so I enjoy helping in that degree with the postpartum aspect of it. So I work with the agency that way. So I am actually in all 3 categories, but I'm solo, right? I do my own thing. I have my own organization, but then I also work with the agency for that in that one area. So it helps with being able to have a diverse client base. And for new doulas, I've seen and it has worked well, where if you want to get experience quickly with different, multiples, preemie, whatever the case is, you want to have different experiences pretty quickly. Working with agency is a way to get that type of exposure. And then other part is, you can focus on being a doula because you don't have to necessarily do the business aspect. You don't have to worry about the tax structure, any changes with laws or HR things. You don't have to worry about the marketing. All of that's taken care of from the agency or by the agency. So it's an option. And again, there's always a flip side to the coin, but that flip side and what any disadvantages are, that's an individual choice, an individual observation. Partnerships. So different names. It could be collective, it could be co-op, it could be network, it could be a partnership, different names, but essentially it's where you enter into some sort of agreement with another doula. Or you enter an agreement with a midwife, or you enter an agreement with, lactation consultants or specialists. It can be with anyone in your area or that can offer a service, but you partner with them in order to be able to provide particular services or products to your client base. This is something where you definitely want to make sure it's documented. You have to go through a lot more steps. If you're particular, like, an agency, you just go through the interview process, you share your packet, you share your resume, you share your background, they do some screening, and you're hired, I think it probably took less than 2 weeks when I went through the agency. But when you're working with a partnership, when you're trying to enter into some sort of agreement, some sort of understanding that how you want to offer their services, then there's a lot more questions you need to ask. There's a lot more T's you need to cross and I's you need to dot in order to make sure that you all are of like mind. Because it's a business in some form. Whatever it is that you're offering, it is a business. So for example, one of the things when you are entering into a partnership or collective scheduling, how does that work? It can vary. There's some collectives that I know where you are on call the first week of the month. You're on, or another doula may be on call the second week of the month, or, you know, it can vary. Then there's others that with the scheduling, it's kind of like who's on first, meaning who has had the most rest, who hasn't been up all night. So that's the person that they call. So all of those details and the logistics of how it actually will work out, how you interact with each other, the pay structure, how the profit or the pay will be divided amongst you all those sorts of things, you know, how you're going to do the insurance, you know, what's the best, you know, your LLC or another type of structure entity, all those decisions are made collectively with whomever you enter into an agreement with, whether it's a partnership hat or a collective hat or a network or a co-op. Now, I mentioned that I am actually all three, and you can do that because I have my own organization, right? I do my own thing, right? So I'm solo, but then I work with that agency only for helping with her special cases, or her cases that are going to be very long, not, you know, a quick 4-week or 5-week or something like that. So I help her in that particular case. But then I have an informal partnership that I have with some doulas that I, you know, have really good friends. We are like-minded. We have similar values, similar philosophies, similar way of working. And so we have a backup system that we use. And so the first 2 weeks of the month, if I need somebody, I know exactly who I'm calling because we have already had that agreement. So I have somebody that's on call for the first 2 weeks if I need help. And then I have somebody else that's on call for that 3rd and 4th week of the month if I need help. And I am their backup. And so that's our agreement. And we've worked out what kind of pay and, you know, how many hours and what type of communication, how quickly I need to reach out to them for them to meet me, you know, at the hospital or to help me virtually or whatever the case is. So in my particular situation, it works for me to really have a piece of all three of these. And so just wanted to kind of frame that. So as we have our discussion, we kind of know what our options are. And it's, like I said, it's unlimited. You know, you can work with co-ops, you can work with multiple agencies. I don't know, maybe be different partnerships. It depends on what your goals are in your area, certainly, what's available in your area. Excuse me, I do coaching also, and I have some clients, some doula clients, and I'm helping them set up their practice. And there's some that we can't find another doula for 40, 50 miles. And in their case, you know, having a partnership isn't really feasible right now. So you got to really think about like what's available for you as well as what's your goals. So with a partnership, you're not doing it alone. You know, you're co-owning, if that's the direction you go in, like an LLC, or you're co-sharing. It's certainly, you can be diverse more. You may be able to offer more as an organization, meaning if you are, you know, if your sweet spot is breastfeeding, lactation, helping with that, then that could be, you know, you can offer that through the partnership. And then somebody else may be a sleep consultant, then that's what, you know, they offer. So you certainly can diversify. You can do different partnership models, and you can leverage the resources. You're not, you know, any funding that you need for marketing or for any sort of expansion or anything of that nature, then you're leveraging not only expertise, but you're able to leverage their resources, and it's not necessarily all on you. So those are some of the advantages of a partnership. Tons more, but just wanted to mention just a few. And again, it's up to you, is what works for you. Some of the selection factors or some of the things you want to think about when you're trying to figure out what works for you could be like your goal, especially if you're a newer doula. Like, what is it that you're trying to get out of your practice and your business, like on the business side of being a doula, right? So we know our goal is to help clients, right? Our role is to be emotional support and physical support for moms and their family. But on the business side, is your goal to do this full time? Is your goal to only have one client a month? Is your goal to only be backup? So you you know, you're going to be a doula, but that's not your main focus right now for that particular season. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? And then you can figure out which model, which option can help you with that. Resources. Do you have the resources to actually have a full slate of clients right now? You know, if you had 4 births within the next 2 weeks, can you do it? You know, are you working another job? Do you have to worry about childcare? So what, like, resources, what are your resources, and what are resources that you may need to acquire or leverage or work with someone else in order to have the right amount of resources? And a big one that I talk about often is timing. You know, starting off, your goals, what's your goal for right now? It may just be that you only want to do birth. Or, you know, in 6 months and you say, I want to add postpartum. Or then, you know, in a year, I want to have a slate. You know, maybe you want to go and get placenta encapsulation training. And so that's something that you want to offer in a couple months. So like just a timeline as to with your milestones or with your goals, like when is it that you want to do it? Because it may be that you start off only solo, but in the future, you know, you want to partner with folks in a particular area in order to offer a service. And so those are just some things to think about when we think about the different options of being solo versus a partnership or working with the agency, or all 3, like in my case. So let me stop for 1 second and let's go to the chat, because I see some things in the chat. Let me go up. Oh, cool. So that's, so you've had 14 births. Oh, Sade, I'm glad you said you get a lot from me here. Awesome. So I'm going to go through the chat, but if anybody has a particular question before I'm trying to read the chats really quickly, you certainly unmute yourself and just call it out and we can start talking.
I guess I could start.
Hey, Sarah.
No, it's Brooke.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Brooke.
It's all good. Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke. I'm from West Palm, Florida.
Hey.
And I'm actually co-launching a collective next month. And so when I came across this, I was so excited because I believe that it takes more than one person to make this happen. So
I'm sure the collective.
The more the merrier.
Absolutely.
So listening to all that you're sharing so far, which is, I agree with whoever had shared in the comments about how informational this all is. Thank you so much, Bianca, for doing this.
Sure.
My thoughts have been the last 2 days around how to, I guess, and I had even posted the question in the group, in the text, in the chat, was, are there other women here who have, I mean, you had mentioned you were a part of a collective, County, which is where I'm located. There is a unique dynamic in the birth community, and I'm coming from coaching, the integrative arts. So it's a little different in the birth field right now in our community. And so that's kind of where I'm stepping into this birth field already, like motivated to create a unison, a sense of unity. And I'm at this stage where I'm going to head out and start having this conversation about joining the collective. And I would like to be able to open this up to other perinatal professionals to join. And so my question, I guess, is like, are there collectives out there that do that integrate not just doulas, but other professionals that can also take advantage of this network?
Yeah, so there's so you said you're in Florida, right? So yeah, there's different collectives all over. I would say in some of the doulas I work with that we've been trying to figure out, okay, what's available in their area. We've just had to go in other areas, not their particular area, and look at models, and then we were able to figure out exactly what will work for their particular area, because literally it runs the spectrum. So there's collectives that only do 1 or 2 things, and there's collectives that do myriad of things. And so it really
Right.
does vary, and it's really what works for your area. So you got to, know your niche, know your area to see what would be successful in your area. But absolutely anything you can think of, there's probably somebody doing it somewhere, in the
Right.
world.
It's just a matter of finding them.
Exactly. And then a lot of times I've reached out, because I will say within the birth community, definitely depending on your area, there's a culture, there's a way of doing things, and you can find out there's usually like the older organization that has, the seasoned doulas and that really have shaped the area and the expectations. And then we have newer ones. And so it's certainly understanding all those dynamics can help you make sure that when you put yourself out there and your collective out there, that you have that background information, that context that can help as you are describing your services, describing the opportunities and the benefits of joining your collective. But absolutely anything you think of, you can add to your collective, because it's so diverse, but it depends on, again, what's needed in your area.
What's needed, correct.
Oh,
thank you.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Naomi Dumas. I'm a new doula. I am so I just finished my coursework, and I'm looking for clients to get started with my experience. One issue I've been finding in my area is I cannot find a doula mentor. Now, I understand that during COVID, especially just with the lockdown and the intimacy of birth itself, but just for somebody that's new and finding a passion for this work, I feel like a lot of times I get the door slammed in my face for wanting help. And it's like,
it's so unfortunate, and you're not the only one. Naomi, what state are you in?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
You're in Ohio? Yeah. So I think we have a couple people that are part of this chat that's in Ohio, but you're not alone. You're not alone. And this is part of the reason why so one of the resources I just wanted to share with you all is that we're launching next month the Blooming Birth Worker Community. And that is a platform that's really an extension of these types of chats. And in that is we have monthly classes, we have events, local as well as national events. We have like a recommendation area, recommendation on breastfeeding videos, all sorts of things. So really within one platform, you have information that's vetted, that's reliable, and that's real time available to you. And part of that is mentoring. I had trouble with finding some good mentors in my area as well. And for various reasons, especially if you're a solo doula, you're busy, right? You're like, you taking on a mentor, to me is it's not only an agreement, but it takes time and it takes energy, and everybody's not able to do that wherever they are in that season or wherever they are, within their journey. And so what I do when I'm coaching, what I want to build into this community that I'm referring to, the Birthworker community, is that I'm putting in folks who I know who are awesome mentors, who are already available and open and willing to be part of any sort of mentor relationship. So you're not alone, Naomi. Mentoring is so key, because you go through training and it's a baseline, right? Training, phases of birth, you get a baseline, but when
but even as far as like where for me, it's even more of a struggle because I am working on another program. So I did my doula training online, so I didn't get that face-to-face and in person. And I do have passion for this work, but that was a more convenient route for me as far as the timeline of the schedule and classes. But again, it's just like I feel confident in the information that I receive, but I don't know how to confidently apply it. They're like, just find 3 women that are pregnant and walk them through their pregnancy.
Right.
I'm just
go for it, right?
And not a parent myself. One of the ladies is a mother of 3 already. What can I really tell her? Like how that's the stuff that I need help with. Like how do I confidently sell myself to somebody who doesn't really need the information that I'm giving them? How do I say that to them confidently to where they're actually going to listen and it's not like she's just doing her job?
So Naomi, you're doing the right thing. which is finding a community that works for you. So this is a community, and I'm offering and letting you know that this is a community where I know we have mentors. And so stay connected with us for those very reasons. I know I talk to people on a weekly basis, or they're like, hey, you know, Bianca, I'm at such and such house, and they just asked me about this, and I ran to the bathroom. What is it that I need? You know, so that type of mentoring is available. And even if the mom has one baby or is on their third or fourth baby, every baby's different, every birth is different, and when they get home, it's going to be different, right? Because transitioning to take care of one child versus 2 children versus 3 children, their schedules change, expectations, and so even if the mom is more experienced in motherhood, you still have a lot to offer, and doing exactly what you're doing, which is reaching out. This is a community that you certainly can get the mentoring that you're looking for if you decide. But you are not alone, and totally understand. I totally understand.
And thank you so much. And reading the comments, I see I'm not alone.
Oh, no, you're not. Your story is part of my story. I can tell you that. Somebody else was calling something out?
Hi,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This is
Sorry.
This is Danya Bianca out of Atlanta.
Hey.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I got on a little late because I was trying to close out a work meeting. Of course, everyone wanted to talk.
Yeah.
So along the lines of a mentor, I'm in the Atlanta area, would love a mentor, so we can talk about that on the sidebar. But is there an expectation as far as a financial obligation for a mentor? Do mentors expect to be paid? I wasn't quite sure about that. Can you talk a little bit?
Yeah.
It depends.
It depends.
Sorry.
It depends. So I know mentors that do expect payment if they allow you, like if you're trying to get your births, right? You get your numbers of births, right? Or your number of postpartum visits for some sort of certification. So for example, I know mentors, and I do it as well, but I don't ask for pay, but I know many doulas that do. So if you are like co-doing for that particular client that they have acquired and that they worked with to get, and they're working with them, then if as their mentee, if they're allowing you to come and to work and to participate, and if that mom can sign off on your certification papers so it helps you with your numbers, then I do know some doulas who ask for some sort of compensation in return for it. Then there's coaches, like I'm a coach, and part of my coaching programs, mentoring is built into that. So then there is a fee, but there's plenty. So there's mentors that just want to give back and not ask for compensation. And there's some formal mentoring programs, like there's some associations. I think I just did a talk in a talk for Utah Association, I think it was, of doulas, and they have a formal mentoring program. And I think it was Utah, but anyway, they have a formal mentoring program, and to sign up for that program, it's an annual fee. I think it's like $50 for the year or something like that. So it's a small investment, but that's a formal program that they run and that they structure, and so they do ask for compensation. So it just depends on where you find the mentor, really.
Sorry, I just want to chime in really fast. I don't know if you ladies know, but anybody that's a new doula, I'm still becoming a doula. I haven't started school yet. I'm doing my doula certification with HN-Song. But if you call around, call your family members, call your friends, people you really have close connections with, because I did that and I was able to find 5 women who wanted to help me, and I never knew that they were a doula to begin with. Mm-hmm. So before you pay for anything, in my personal opinion, get help for free first, and then reach out as far as maybe on a little more professional note as far as paying for a mentor. But I feel like there is people who are willing to do things for free and teach you. You just have to be available when they say they're available. Make yourself completely available, so that way when you ask for the free help, especially during this pandemic, no one feels like I'm wasting my time, so now I want to charge her or him. Also, do Zoom calls. Carry that confidence that you know what you're doing. Watch videos. I know it's kind of scary, especially because I'm new to this. I don't know a lot about it. But one thing I've done is meditated on it, taken out the time to eat a little bit cleaner, and really just pray about it and write things down. And I've noticed that it's coming along, just be a little more encouraged, and I promise you it'll all work out. But please don't pay for anything if you don't have to. Always ask your family members, your friends, anybody you know, because you'll be surprised who are doulas and who is in the medical field and know friends that are doulas. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of
my name is Carolyn Alexander, and I own an agency in Washington, D.C. I've done a number of programs with mentoring people.
Yeah.
But I'm very honest with you. I have found that a lot of new doulas, after they take their training, they'll put up a shield and say they're charging $800 because they've done training, but they don't have any experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this business for over 15 years. I have contracts directly with several hospitals or in the Washington, D.C. area. I encourage doulas, but I also have to give you the reality is that you have to start working like we're doing, but you also have to be patient.
Yeah.
The way that our program works is that a new doula has to come in, prove to me not only do they have the passion, but they also have the maturity to be a doula. Because a lot of what we do requires a lot of understanding the client's needs and the partner's needs and the family needs.
Yeah.
There's a level of maturity that I look at. If you're working a full-time job and you know that you can't make it on a birth, then I'm your backup. That's how we structured it. But I spend a lot of time working with new doulas, not only on their passion, but also their level of maturity and stability. Now, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I am just saying, after doing this for such a long period of time, there's factors that we as more mature doulas that we see, and we don't want to waste our time with someone who's not going to step up. Therefore, you have to do at least 2 to 3 births with me or with another senior doula before you onto our team.
Yeah.
Count those births towards your certification. You bring your paperwork because you were physically there.
That's right. That's right.
So you can count those births, but before you even come in to work in our group, our team also has to fulfill the level of comfortability, because I can't tell you how many times I've mentored people or developed programs, and then after 5 or 6 months, they don't show up any longer.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there.
There is.
One of the questions, I have one more question because I've got to run, is that I wanted to ask the group, does anyone else see hospitals opening up to allow doulas to come back before there's a vaccination? What does you guys see in your areas? In Washington, D.C., I'm hearing that nothing's going to open up for quite some time.
Well, at the top of it, I don't know if you were here, but New York, there is some of that coming back, but not all hospitals, even though there was an executive order. So some are allowing it, some aren't still.
Yeah, it depends on where you are, because I know in Richmond, I think I have some of my Richmond doulas on too. I know we just got notice today that one of the hospitals allowing them back in, I think effective today. So it really, it's just there. It's a shot in the dark.
Yeah,
that's the kind of information. I'm sorry, Chrissy?
Yeah, Carolyn, by the way, let's meet up after this just because I'd love to chat with you because I'm just down below you.
Let's do it.
Most of our hospitals, 5 out of the 7 were allowing doulas in this whole time. One system, which was Bon Secours, so it's an entire system of hospitals. So 2 of them, 3 of them are local to us. They just opened back up. That's what Bianca was saying. They just started allowing doulas back in this week as the extra person. So when the other hospitals have considered us healthcare team, Bon Secours did not consider us healthcare team. All the hospitals that allowed doulas in, you had to do, like the screening, the temperature, the questions, the whole thing. And a couple of the hospitals required a list of certified doulas. So now certification, that's kind of a gray area. So a lot of people that were trained put their name in too. But what they mean is they don't want your sister Sarah coming in, doing it. But because Virginia is allowing them, I don't know if like your southern end is going to start allowing them because the Virginia hospitals, maybe that might be a difference. So maybe DC proper won't, but maybe your Virginia ones will.
Right.
You know what I'm looking for is just what you said. I think once other hospitals see a larger hospital system,
it's going to be a rippling effect.
Come back. That's the kind of information you can send to them and say, hey, look, in Richmond, they're doing this or whatever they're doing it. Executive orders are great, but it's really the hospital administrators who feel like, are they going to take on the risk? And in case this pandemic continues after Mother's Day, Memorial Day, I think people are waiting to see what's going to happen in June.
Right. So we were writing letters. Several of us wrote very detailed letters to administrators to get hospitals to open up. We said, you're losing clients, you're losing patients. So there were patients that switched out of the Bon Secours system to go to hospitals that allowed us. So they were losing money. You know, we had the families themselves write the letters. You know, I have hired this doula and you're not allowing me to have a person that I paid for me. You're making me choose between like a partner or a doula. It was very difficult, you know, but we were writing letters. So I sent out 5 each week. I sent a letter, but I know there were a few of them that were sending them out all the time.
Carolyn, for us
Ursula, what's happening?
For us specifically, I hear that Howard is having discussions around that, and that's part of Johns Hopkins. So if Johns Hopkins can get on board, that'll maybe the first one. But you know as well as I am, we're still in stay-at-home right now. We haven't even lightened up, unlike Pittsburgh and Richmond and a whole bunch of other places, or Arizona, which is back to free. So we're going to be delayed.
So in Georgia, we've got 67 birthing hospitals, and only 2 of them are allowing doulas in now. And one of them is requiring certification. So one of the things that we're working on is what is a virtual doula, and how can we help the partner and help our client?
Absolutely. Okay.
And we're convinced that this is going to go on for at least another year or so, and then we think that people are going to get so used to virtual kind of work that there will be clients who would rather have a virtual doula rather than they're in the room with her.
Yeah, especially if they have a positive experience with it now.
I'm finding anyone, it's not their first child, but if it's their second plus,
I'd
rather for us to be there than their partners. Clients who said, Carolyn, can you come and he can stay with the siblings, or she can stay with the siblings. And I'd rather for you to come. So I think you're right, Carolyn. I like your name too, young lady.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So I think we have a couple more comments I'm going to try to get through. This is excellent. This is what we're about, y'all. When we meet on Fridays, this is it. Share information.
So,
resources.
I have a question too.
Okay. Is that
Yeah, this is Abby. I'm in Houston. Hi, you guys. I've been trained for about a year through DONA, but I'm supporting my first client really any day now. She's due, so I'm pretty excited to get started. I had a question about Carolyn's kind of first comment, talking about the importance of mentorship, and I just wondered, based on the different structures, it's kind of the idea of mentorships and learning, you know, on the job and hands-on training. Is that kind of built into a co-op mindset or an agency mindset? Or is it really more, I mean, I know everything kind of differs, you know, based on who you're really partnering up with, but it seems like from a co-op or a collective, that's kind of built in, is that, you know, wanting to train new doulas and learn from more experienced doulas. And so I just didn't know if that's people's experience more so than with an agency, which seems, just from the limited knowledge I have of it, being a little bit more business minded, more so than kind of that homegrown nurturing. So I just wanted to know people's experience.
Yeah, it varies. Carolyn, did you want to go, and then I'll make a comment about that? Did you have, Abby, you were asking Carolyn specifically?
Well, no, just everybody's experience. She just had mentioned kind of the importance of that mentorship and being available when the person you're mentoring under is, and so I just wondered if that was kind of built into the co-op.
We did a number of different varieties of internships. Was probably the most helpful, was having a new doula attend 3 births with me, and to be able to count those towards their certification.
Right.
Now, the reason is because then you can see how I interact with not only my clients, but also with the staff at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can see a little bit more about the process and if it's different. I love it when I have new doulas come in because I work y'all. I'm like, come on back, squat. Too old to keep squatting. So I'm happy with that. And I say that in a very kind way because I want you to see the practical stuff that we do as doulas is important. So that's what I found. For me, it was more important for me to have you all do births with our senior doulas and then to walk away with a better understanding of not only working with your patient, but working with the staff.
Right. Yeah. Very
see
true.
Chrissy shaking your head.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I've done a lot of mentorship too. So that's how I found my partner for my business. And then I kind of mentor everyone that comes on my team for a while before they start, or they're new doulas and they reach out to me because I like to mentor. I'm just an extrovert, so I'll be anyone's friend. But I will say that I've had to limit the amount of mentorship I do because it's mind energy.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID. And right now we have COVID. We have what's happening with women of color in birth, but we have what's just happening with Black folks in general. You know, we have folks that are LGBT. I mean, there's just so many things that go into the emotional aspect of a person coming to your business that it's not just the doula relationship. It goes beyond that. So yes, I can have someone come in and follow me for births. Yes, I can have women do that, and I love that. But then it becomes this relationship. So there's only so many people I can doula. So we set up a Friday call on Zoom, and doulas in our area are allowed to come join that. And then I would hire people from my agency from that group. You know, so that group's the group that's working towards a certification. So completing whatever program you have, working towards improving yourself, you know, and who's going to work on lactation? Who's going to read this book? Hey, I got this great baby wearing course. We're creating in Richmond, Virginia, and I wish I could hire everyone, but we're creating like an all-purpose. We even have an occupational therapist. When the lady over there talked about co-ops, we have an occupational therapist, we have a CPR instructor, we have a couple nurses, we have an IBCLC. We have a complete agency, except for midwives, where you can come in and your maternal needs can be met through someone to help you shop, someone to help you prepare for your baby, someone to be in labor with you, childbirth education, lactation, grandparents classes. Like we have all of that. And it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of mind energy.
And that goes exactly to what we've been saying, which is it really depends. You know, I know some agencies that you hardly see them. It's all by phone and email. So it's no kind of mentorship. It's you're basically an employee. They make sure you know where the address, the time you show up. And then there's more like what Christy and Carolyn say, where you participate and you work with them and they get to know you. But at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. Whether it's a relationship in your current network, somebody from your church family, your neighborhood or whatever, and you didn't even know they're a doula and now you can reach out to them. It's all about relationships, because also with the mentoring part is, you know, my name is on the line, because if somebody says Bianca mentee, you know, is my mentor and showed me how to do this, I want to make sure that they are doing it well. I want to make sure that they're doing what I would expect for them to do. Or if I send them to a client on my behalf, I want to make sure I want them to be competent and confident, you know, in it. So it takes time, as Carolyn was saying, but a big part of it is relationships for sure. And I think we have one more question for Esther, and then I want to go to the last two slides about next week's chat, and then we can certainly continue.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Esther, and I'm not a doula anymore, but I'm a childbirth educator and lactation consultant, and I do provide doula trainings for breastfeeding. But I also work with a hospital, and I'm from South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County. I work with hospitals who are not allowing doulas, and because of the pandemic. But however, I wanted to know one question. anyone on the call have a contract or agreement with a hospital to provide their doulas? That's the first question. And then I will be having a call, be joining a conversation, sharing the hospital, sharing information from this group with the hospitals, how some of the hospitals are opening up and what they're requiring, allowing doulas to come in. But the first question is anyone in this group, are you aware of contract or agreements for doulas with hospital systems?
I know some have agreements with, especially for the organizations that may have doulas, as well as that provides training, similar to as you're referring to. So I know one or two organizations in our area that they're contracted, but not just specifically for doula. There's a slate of different services and products that they offer. So they do like all the childbirth training courses and provide all the child instructors and things like that. So not specifically just for doula.
So Esther, there's really two models. There's one where the hospital outsources everything to an agency. That's what some of the hospitals have done with our company. And the patients, we call them clients, have to pay. Then there's another model where the hospital will say, we'll bring in your doulas as hospital doulas, and then they will pay you. And that model is something that I think DONA has been trying to work on for years. And I've only known maybe one or two hospitals. There's one in Washington, D.C., Anne Arundel Hospital, which had a bid out for hospital doulas. But I do know that DONA has been trying very hard to make that more of a reality among nationally, that hospitals should provide doula services. But I think it has to do with Medicaid population is what they were providing first. I would suggest maybe contacting Reve Sinclair. She's the president of DONA. And she may be able to, and you can also contact me after this, but I've seen two models. One is where the hospitals say, take it, give it to an agency, then you manage everything. And the other one is where they're looking at bringing in hospital doulas, but it's really for Medicaid population.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, that helps. Thank you.
And then there are certain hospitals, I see the ones that are more open are the ones that there's certain hospitals that actually have a doula training program also. And so they're open, they understand doulas, they provide the training. You literally go to the hospital on site to receive the training and then you're scheduled in. So it's a different model. Some doulas are comfortable with that because you just walk in, you don't know the client or the patient beforehand, you're just scheduled that day to be the doula. So it's a different model, but yeah, it's so much diversity out there. So we're at 1 o'clock on the dot, and I want to honor folks' time. And so I just wanted to share that I'll send this out, actually, this PowerPoint out. So if folks wanted to have it just as a reference model, So next week, we were slated to talk about working with multiples. I think just from the chat, I haven't gone through all of it yet, certainly. I see we have 119 other messages I haven't gotten to. So I will take the time and go through that and see if there's any other suggestions for ideas. Feel free to please put it in the chat. So working with multiple, so these are some other ideas that folks have put out there that we can talk about. So next week we're going to work about working with multiples, twins, triplets, and so forth. Industry partnerships, diving into more of industry partnerships with those like midwives. Like, what does that look like? How do you approach them? What kind of information should you be sharing in your proposal? That sort of information. But certainly if you, and then also just marketing in general. Like, how do you market, especially with things are virtual? Like, how do you market, position yourself for your ideal client in your area, some nuances and some making sure that you're successful in your particular area. So those are some of the other topics for the upcoming weeks, but please use the chat box to put any sort of ideas for anything else that you want us to talk about and go deeper. From time to time, I will send out an email with some additional resources, and especially about opening up, what hospitals and areas may be opening up. I hear also that in Dallas area, Ebony said that the hospitals are opening up in that area. So it really does vary. It certainly does vary. But I will also encourage everyone that if you are interested in having yet another network to formalize, to share information such as this and the events. Certainly, the Blooming Birth Worker community we're launching next month is an awesome opportunity. It is a membership subscription-based platform. So just send an email to me if you are interested in that. Or you can either go to my website, bloomingmamaswellness.com, or just send me an email. And I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and go through the chat to see if there's any burning questions that I need to answer. But I wanted to just honor folks' time. I try to do it about an hour, so it's about 1:03, so 3 minutes over. So if you have to leave, thank you so much for sharing this time in this space with us, and we'll see you next Friday.